Saint Anthony of Padua, born as Ferdinand of Bullhose, is one of the most beloved and venerated figures in the Catholic Church. His name is deeply connected to countless miracles and graces that God has granted through his intercession. However, one of the most popular reasons that lead the faithful to seek his intercession is his fame as the patron saint of marriage. This title, which seems curious at first glance, has roots in stories of miracles and special graces related to the sacrament of matrimony. From a very early age, Saint Anthony was recognized for his devotion to poverty, his love for the teachings of Christ, and, especially, for his extraordinary gift of preaching. Born in Lisbon in the year 1195, he embraced religious life as a Franciscan friar, completely dedicating himself to God. His great devotion to the gospel and service to others already distinguished him among his contemporaries. The title of patron saint of marriage is closely linked to the love that Saint Anthony had for the poor and needy. Tradition tells us that on several occasions, he helped young maidens get married by providing the necessary dowry, something that at the time was indispensable for marriage, especially in poor families. These miraculous interventions led to his association with matrimony. In one of the most well-known stories, a very poor young woman wanted to marry but could not provide a dowry, which was a common requirement in the Middle Ages for marriage to be considered viable. Distressed, she turned to Saint Anthony, asking for his intercession. Moved by compassion, the saint mysteriously appeared to help her. The next day, the young woman found a bag full of gold coins, enough to cover all the dowry expenses.
Before continuing with this video, I would like to invite you to reflect with us on our spiritual life as Catholics. Many times, in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, we set prayer aside, even though we know how important it is for our spiritual life. With this in mind, I have created an ebook called Prayer Routine for Catholics. In it, I share simple and effective ways to integrate prayer into your daily life, bringing more serenity and closeness to God. This material is a valuable companion for those who wish to live their faith more intensely and consistently. The link to the ebook is in the first comment of this video. Click the link and receive your ebook right now. May God bless you.
This miracle spread quickly and reinforced the image of the saint as an intercessor in matrimonial causes. Another miraculous account attributed to the Franciscan involves a young woman who, already desperate for not finding a suitor, prayed fervently to him for help. According to tradition, not long after, she met a young man who became her husband, and both attributed the meeting to Saint Anthony's intervention. These episodes multiplied over the years, consolidating his reputation as the saint who assists those seeking marriage. Saint Anthony's fame as a protector of marriages is not limited to material miracles, such as providing dowries. He is also venerated for interceding in troubled marriages, asking God for reconciliation between couples and healing tumultuous relationships. His intercession is sought by those who desire marital harmony, family peace, and the strengthening of Christian love. His love for the institution of marriage also reflects the Church's teaching on the sacred value of this sacrament. Saint Anthony knew that marriage was not just a social contract, but a divine vocation, a union blessed by God that reflected the covenant between Christ and the Church. He saw marriage as a path to sanctification, and his intercession seeks to ensure that those who enter this covenant do so with a pure heart and the intention to live a life of love and Christian fidelity. Devotion to Saint Anthony as the patron saint of marriage has grown over the centuries, especially in countries with a Catholic tradition. In Brazil and Portugal, it is common to see the faithful making promises and novenas to the saint, asking for his intercession to find a good husband or wife. During the festivities of Saint Anthony, celebrated on June 13th, many young people participate in celebrations and rituals that symbolize the desire to marry, trusting in the saint's blessings. One of the most emblematic examples of this devotion occurs in churches dedicated to the saint, where the faithful leave blessed breads, known as Saint Anthony's bread, as a sign of gratitude for the miracles received. In some regions, it is believed that having one of these loaves at home, especially if given to a single woman, helps to attract a good suitor. Additionally, the practice of praying the famous prayer of Saint Anthony before making important decisions, such as marriage, is a custom that has survived to this day. The prayer, which asks for the saint's intercession, invokes his help not only for love-related matters but for the spiritual life and daily needs of the faithful. But what makes Saint Anthony such a powerful intercessor when it comes to marriage? The answer lies in his deep humility and unconditional love for God. As a man who fully dedicated himself to the gospel, he understood that true love can only be found in God and that marriage is an expression of that divine love. His life was a testimony of dedication and sacrifice, qualities that he intercedes for couples to develop in their own lives. Saint Anthony's connection to marriage is also associated with the fact that he was a great preacher about true love. In his homilies, he spoke about the need for Christian love to be patient, generous, and pure. He reminded couples that human love should be a reflection of Christ's love, always willing to sacrifice and give oneself entirely for the good of the other. One of the reasons many couples turn to Saint Anthony in times of marital difficulty is his ability to intercede for the restoration of marriages. The devotion to the saint leads couples to understand that forgiveness and reconciliation are fundamental for the survival of a union. Many testimonies of grace received after asking for the saint's intercession show saved and renewed marriages, fruits of his powerful intercession. Throughout history, many congregations and religious orders have dedicated altars and chapels to Saint Anthony, especially regarding marriage. In the 15th century, for example, his devotion spread across Europe with the founding of various confraternities dedicated to helping the poor and organizing marriages for needy young women, perpetuating his mission to care for the destitute. Today, Saint Anthony continues to be one of the most popular saints among those seeking marriage or wishing to strengthen their relationship. In Italy, in the city of Padua, where his relics are kept, thousands of pilgrims visit his shrine each year to ask for and thank him for the graces received, especially concerning marriage. The devotion to the patron saint of marriage has remained strong over the centuries. As human needs do not change, the desire to find true love and live a blessed marital life is constant. Saint Anthony, with his life of holiness and many miracles, has become a symbol of hope for those seeking this sacrament, and his example inspires faith in every corner of the world. One of the most curious and popular practices among devotees of Saint Anthony involves using his image as part of a marriage-related tradition. Many faithful, especially young single women, have the custom of playing with the saint's statue, turning it upside down or hiding it somewhere, as a way to ask for his intercession to find a future husband. Although it may seem like an irreverent tradition, the practice is done with deep devotion, and many believe that these gestures reinforce their requests to the saint. The famous charm of Saint Anthony is another well-known tradition. In many places, it is common to hear that to find a husband or wife, a person should perform a series of symbolic gestures while praying to the saint. Whether hiding the image or tying colorful ribbons around his hands, these charms are seen as demonstrations of faith and trust in the saint's intercession. However, the Church always teaches that these practices, no matter how popular they may be, should be accompanied by true devotion and sincere prayer, trusting in God's plan for each individual. What makes Saint Anthony even more fascinating to the faithful is that he is not seen solely as the saint of marriages, but also as a true friend and companion for all of life's needs. His fame as the patron saint of marriage is just one of the many reasons he is invoked. He is the protector of the poor, travelers, the oppressed, and is also known as the saint of lost causes and lost objects. Throughout the centuries, many stories of sudden and miraculous conversions have been attributed to the intercession of Saint Anthony. One of the most inspiring aspects of his life is that he always sought to restore dignity and joy in the lives of people, especially those facing great challenges. His deep love for humanity is reflected in his desire to see people happy, whether in marriage, family life, or their own spiritual journey. One of the most striking moments in the saint's life was his tireless preaching, not only in churches but in public squares and even on the streets, reaching crowds wherever they went. He was known for his ability to communicate the message of the gospel clearly and passionately, touching the hearts of people from all walks of life. This passion for spreading the Word of God was reflected in his desire to see families build their lives on faith and love. In his homilies, St. Anthony often spoke about the value of conjugal love and the importance of honoring the sacrament of marriage. He understood that marriage was a sacred vocation, a divine calling to live the love of Christ within the family context. For him, marriage was not just a union between two people, but a reflection of God's love for his church, a covenant that required sacrifice, fidelity, and mutual surrender. For those seeking a life partner, St. Anthony teaches that Christian marriage must be based on solid values such as respect, patience, and faith in God. He reminded that marriage, like any other vocation, requires spiritual preparation and a heart willing to follow the Lord's ways. The devotion to the saint helps prepare the hearts of young people for this journey, seeking not just a spouse but also a life of holiness alongside their loved one. We must not forget that St. Anthony, throughout his life, also faced moments of personal difficulty, which brought him even closer to the sufferings and concerns of the faithful. During his preaching, he faced criticism and opposition, but always maintained his faith in God. That spiritual strength that sustained him amidst adversities is the same that many couples seek in his intercession, especially in times of crisis in marriage. The trust that so many place in St. Anthony as an intercessor in matrimonial matters is also related to the fact that he deeply understood human concerns. Although he lived a celibate life as a friar, he knew the importance of family life and marital union. His understanding of the difficulties couples face, as well as the beauty of Christian love, makes his intercession seen as a great comfort for those seeking a blessed life together. In Brazil, a country with great devotion to St. Anthony, the tradition of the June festivals is an example of the importance of this saint in popular culture.
Before continuing with this video, I would like to invite you to reflect with us on our spiritual life as Catholics. Many times, in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, we set prayer aside, even though we know how important it is for our spiritual life. With this in mind, I have created an ebook called Prayer Routine for Catholics. In it, I share simple and effective ways to integrate prayer into your daily life, bringing more serenity and closeness to God. This material is a valuable companion for those who wish to live their faith more intensely and consistently. The link to the ebook is in the first comment of this video. Click the link and receive your ebook right now. May God bless you.
During the month of June, especially on the 13th day, many churches organize celebrations in honor of the saint, where the faithful participate in masses, processions, and festive celebrations. It is common to see young singles fervently asking the saint for help in finding a partner, often using charms that have become part of Catholic folklore. Although these traditions may seem, at first glance, like simple superstitions, for the devotees of St. Anthony, they carry a deep spiritual meaning. The devotion to the patron saint of marriage is, in fact, a reflection of the trust that the faithful have in the intercession of the saints, especially those like St. Anthony, whose life was a testament to love, care, and attention to the needy. The faith that drives these devotions is the same that inspires the faithful to believe that God acts through his saints. Another common practice during the festivities dedicated to the saint is the distribution of St. Anthony's bread. In many parishes, small pieces of bread are blessed and distributed among the faithful, symbolizing the saint's generosity and concern for the poor. This gesture of sharing is also seen as a sign of blessing for families and is often associated with requests for intercession for stability and happiness in marriage. Beyond the popular aspects of the devotion, St. Anthony is a clear example of the power of the intercession of the saints. The Catechism of the Catholic Church teaches us that the saints, being in the glory of God, continue to intercede for us, helping us in our needs. When the faithful ask for St. Anthony's intercession for matrimonial issues, they are following this tradition of trust in the communion of saints, believing that he, now with God, can help realize the divine plans for the lives of those who turn to him. The patron saint of marriage, as he is affectionately called, continues to be one of the most invoked by the faithful around the world. Even centuries after his death, Saint Anthony's influence remains alive, and his role as an intercessor in marriage matters continues to be relevant. His love for the poor, his preaching about true love, and his life of humility and service to God make him a model to be followed by all those who wish to build a solid and blessed married life. In the testimonies of faithful who have received graces through Saint Anthony, we find a constant trust in his intercession. People who prayed for years asking for marriage or resolution of marital problems recount how their lives were transformed after turning to the saint. These stories of miracles and graces received are passed down from generation to generation, further strengthening devotion to Saint Anthony. It is no coincidence that many altars in churches around the world are dedicated to him, and that his image is often seen in homes and businesses. Images of the saint holding the child Jesus serve as a constant reminder of his life of deep intimacy with God and his devotion to others. These representations symbolize not only his holiness but also his role as intercessor for all causes, especially those related to marriage. Saint Anthony of Padua teaches us that Christian love should be lived fully, both in marriage and in family life. He reminds us that for a marriage to endure, it must be grounded in values such as patience, forgiveness, and trust in God. This is why he is invoked by so many, as his intercession helps us seek these virtues in our own lives and relationships. Saint Anthony, pray for us.